All right. Well, I am going to go over Marathon. Now, I don't particularly care too much about Marathon. I mean, I'm not part of the dude bro fucking, gaming FPS people who just play FPS games 24/7. I don't really care about that side of the gaming sphere. But Marathon is an interesting game because to me, it's not the most egregious game in the modern uh, mainstream gaming landscape. To me, it's just a game, and whether it does good or not will depend on some interesting factors. Now, it certainly hasn't broken like incredible numbers. All right, let's call spade a spade here. It's like this is a brand new game for Bungie. Okay, this is like a fucking a massive IP, a massive brand. Like the biggest there is in the sphere, and it's like it hasn't even cracked 100K concurrent. Now, whether or not that translates into how many sold, do we have console numbers? I mean, obviously console numbers skew things a bit, but what we've seen with previous data is that generally what shows on Steam is the overall emphasis of these types of games. Now, these games get a massive boost in their, there's so many articles about them. There is just an absolute insane amount of marketing. You load up the Steam page, and this is like the first game on there. I'm sure when you go to PlayStation and Xbox stores or whatever, it's just like there. It's like buy Marathon now. So they shove these games in their face, and these are these top of the ladder games. They're most definitely like your AAA, whatever you call it, modern game. But will it be enough? Now, like I said before, Marathon is not particularly the most egregious game. We got games like Assassin's Creed Shadows, Outlaws, Veilguard, Concord, Highguard. These games represent a sphere of gaming that has deep amounts of vitriol and hate directed towards them. I'm sorry, I have a cold, so I might be incoherent a little bit. I'm sure my haters would probably wish this cold claimed my life here, but I'm getting through it, fighting through it, and getting better. But yeah, this might still sneeze and be sniffly. But I mean, the emphasis on Marathon is like we just had High Guard. Is this the next High Guard? No, this is not the worst of them. You know what I mean? This is not the absolute most terrible looking game. And I said this all the way from back when it was first announced that I'm saying, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. Now, I've always come to the conclusion that these games should have more emphasis on story, and we should have more adventure. As far as I can tell, this is just a base tier multiplayer FPSing type experience. Um, and they try and be so artsy fartsy with it, which okay, like I can appreciate some of what they're going for here. Like there is some monochromes of quality here. Some of the character designs are weird and unique. I'll give it to them, but this is like that art student. Art student trying to be all different and unique and making everything look all weird and quirky. This is like an animation you would see on like some TV station late at night, so to speak. It's got those vibes to it, but it's certainly not the absolute worst thing ever made. And that'll be interesting because what do we have? So much discourse in AAA nowadays. There's people fighting like 24/7 over this thing on the internet. So there is gear fear. Yeah, like these types of trying to be all quirky and unique. How are you dealing with gear fear? It's like, what the fuck is gear fear supposed to be? You know what I mean? Extraction shooter. I hate the name of that. It's an extraction shooter, bro. Gear fear. Such a stupid fucking term. Yeah, so I mean, there's plenty of discourse around marathon. There's those two classic sides clashing: the pro marathon, the anti marathon, and there's just a constant fight, bickering online over it did good, it did bad. You guys are just haters, you're fucking haters. Blah, 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 blah. Like people just fucking fight 24 fucking 7 over games nowadays, don't they? But it's interesting. As a person who probably won't, this guy always pops up. Like, we don't give a shit what fucking Shroud thinks about a game. And that's like, this is the type of people that now are part of this like dude bro FPS, main influencer Twitch people, like Nick Merckx is pretty cool dude. Like I would probably hang out with Nick Merckx. But it's like, why do we give a shit what these people say? I can tell you what kind of game Marathon is from 5 seconds of looking at it. It doesn't look horribly bad, but I wish there was more to it than, see, like I said this before, is that like Splitgate 2 is a perfectly fine game. But after about an hour or half an hour in Splitgate 2, you've essentially seen all there is to in the game. What's crazy about these games is that now we have these games with these like elaborate made maps and all this shit, and it doesn't feel like you're exploring anything. It just feels like you're being thrown in an arena to do what they want you to, and there's no mystery and adventure. It's just like it's just like a thing that is the main oh god, all these fucking influencers and stupid people. This guy, like, against your fucking greatest will, it's like you learn about this. Who gives a shit who the burnt peanut dude is? Some dude who just won the lottery online and now has fucking millions of subscribers or whatever. And then this is funny, okay? So, like, yeah, clearly there's a difference here. So this is what I'm talking about, is that, like, how can you go up on this big pedestal and ladder and see Marathon's doing fine? It's like, I'm pretty sure that's what they wish the numbers of Marathon would be, like, or at least crack 100K. So, like, you're not telling me that there's, like, as a AAA $100 million fucking dollar industry company, that they're happy about those numbers, because they didn't expect that. I mean, 20 yesterday was 25K. So this is why Steam metrics are so popular, is because this is a real metric that you can use against these companies that say, you know what, like, you're not getting past this one, Marathon devs, like, you know what I mean? It's like, wherever this comes from is not, like, in line with what they wanted. So the Steam DB is like the ultimate purveyor of gaming hype. If this was like the greatest anticipated title, brand new IP from Bungie, oh my god, like the creators of Halo made a game, and like, this is not the creators of Halo. This is not the new Halo. Like, this is not a fucking cultural. This would be very good for an indie game of one guy made, but as a company that has billions of dollars invested in this thing. Now let's look into the budget, because you've seen this floating around. Bungie's Marathon is estimated to require 7 to 12 million copies to break even. That is insane, man. And I realize they probably require a lot of money in development costs and studio costs and all these other costs, but like, to gamble on that, estimated to be around $250 million. This is what, like, a new Avengers movie would fucking cost. Like, how do they fucking do that? And I think that the reason that these budgets are so high is that, it's like I've said before, is these gaming companies are more than just, a bunch of dudes in a fucking office space creating a video game. There's HR management, and you got super huge costs in fucking goddamn employee payments, employment costs, and marathon event in Los Angeles that has like fucking that costs like $2 million and has a big marathon figure, and it's like they don't need to fucking do that shit because it doesn't work. Marketing in gaming, and this is the thing too, is that like Steam, you log into Steam, marathon, red top. You can't tell me that they just did that because this is a new IP from Bungie and they decided to put, they shifted some money to fucking Steam and been like, here you go, Steam, here's like, six or $60,000, put this at the very top. It doesn't work. It's like a good game sells itself. It just does. Like, it's insane that they have to do all these things, thinking that it'll work. Now, an insane news title actually just came out today. Because you like to think that if a game's successful, the team's successful, but that's not how it works in the gaming industry. We've seen this before. We've seen multiple examples of a game doing incredibly well, exceeding expectations, and they still like lay off the whole fucking team and everything is, so not only when games fail, but also when games does. EA has laid off an unknown number of individuals across Battlefield teams following its record. See, even IGN is picking on to this. They're like, what? So there's some weirdness going on in the industry, and what I think that is the reason for this is these companies are like fucking like a work crew or something. The developers, there's so many developers right now who have the ability to make games and all these different functions just sitting at home laid off. Yeah, there's like a whole pool of them these companies can pick from. They know this. And how they probably get down on some of these development costs is they'll bring in all these people, they'll make a game that sells really well, and then they'll immediately just lay them all off until they figure out the next project. And then the next project comes along, and it all comes back again. They have this huge pool. Like, everybody wants to work in the gaming industry. Like, let's be fucking honest. How many trillions of people are trying to make YouTube channels every day, or X accounts, or Instagram accounts, to just get paid off of making shit on the internet, doing an easy job, when you could, go and work on a construction site, or besides doing that. So, I mean, they know EA and like Ubisoft, all these companies, they don't care about their employees. They're big companies. Now there's other industry, I would call them like AA, but now they're kind of like the same as AAA in quality. You got like your CD Projekt Reds, you got like your Warhorse Studios, you got like your Sabers Interactives. You got these companies that are not really the big majors that historically were a thing. But now they either a produce games on the same quality as AAA, big massive conglomerations, but they also operate in a more logical fashion. They're not these gigantic budget games. Like look at look at that one game that came out. What was that French game that came out? Game of the year 2025. Clair Obscur. So Clair Obscur, Sandfall Interactive, whatever publishers or whatever they have, but they're on the level of, you can make a great game, it can sell really well, it can be very, very well, it can look as good, if not better, than some of this stuff these massive 1,000 people team are pulling through, and they still are successful. So they operate in a more logical way, whereas EA just absolutely like this big fucking corporation that it's like working for Google or something. Emphatically tears into EA's gutting old talent. On a pirate ship, they'll toss the captain overboard. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious. Yeah, Larian is another one that's like not this massive company, but they, generally, what is that? generally, like, even Kotaku is picking up on this one. It's like you make a great game is not a guarantee of success in the gaming industry. What is it? It's the company that you work for that values you as an employee. A good solid company, because get like EA is not going to give a shit about its employees, and that makes me worry. Like, I mean, worry for the people who make work on Marathon. Not like I really give a fuck about them, but you know, you got to be looking at this and saying, okay, we're a massive Bungie people. They're gonna start fucking cutting the load here pretty quick at less than 10% of what they hoped the game would sell. So I mean, yeah, the industry is most certainly a ruthless thing. Everybody wants to work in the gaming industry. There are even games that are good are chat on and spit out the door, so to speak. Like I've said for so many times, like there are so many people working in the gaming. It's high positions, like positions of utmost power in these corporations. They just don't get games. They just don't get games. They don't like video games, but they're like CEO of marketing development at Electronic Arts or something. Fucking just shut them out the door. Like they're yeah, it's this ruthless corporate world that really sucks. Because I come from a time when early 2000s, late 90s, when I was younger, that gaming was for the nerds. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of people that played video games, but there was a whole subsect of people who played games. Now it's on the level of like Netflix. Like there's so many people in the gaming industry who don't give a flying fuck about games. It's all about the money. It's all about the corporations. It's all about the power. Cancellations, but like when you type in EA layoffs in the thing, there's just so many exact like just laying off people. EA cancels but closes the studio. It just goes on and on and on and on. Like if you were in a position at Ubisoft or something as some game developer, you'd be fucking checking your email every day to be like, "Am I laid off?" It's like at EA, it's like, walking into work, let's work on the new EA game. It's like, am I gonna get laid off today? Like, it's like that must suck, man. Like honestly, like there's two sides of it. Yeah, working in the gaming industry would be really sweet. If you had to make games all day, that would be a pretty sick gig, especially if you're making 100K or whatever a year. But at the same time, it's a fucking ruthless industry. I'm pretty sure there are like infinite examples of dudes and chicks working in the gaming industry like, oh, I'm fulfilling my dreams. I'm a game developer. I've made all this money, and it's like I'm so successful. And it's like I'm gonna buy a big house and sail off into the sunset. And then EA sends you a fucking email and is like, guess what? You're laid off. Here you go. Here's your layoff letter or whatever. And then they're just like, oh. And then they end up working at fucking Starbucks. Well, I mean that's pretty bad. It's like Starbucks, but like, or they end up working at some manufacturing firm or something instead because they can't get another job in the fucking industry. It's like, what do they do when they hire for like what's the most like a concept artist? Like, if I was a fucking concept artist in the gaming industry, like, you hand in your resume, it's like, I could come up with good ideas for games. It's like, they got 60 million fucking resumes to go through. It must be such a shit show trying to get a job in the industry. That is fucking hilarious. And like for games that's like, it's almost like we're Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire, like it's almost a better idea if you are a programmer or whatever to just make your own game, because by the time you do all that, the job stability is there. You're much better off. You don't have to worry about that, but working for these companies must be an absolute shit show. And as much as working in the gaming industry would be a dream for so many people, like just imagine how many dreams got crushed. Unless you're Todd Howard or Hideo Kojima or Jeff Keighley. Like, your job security is fucking zero. Or you work for one of these companies like Warhorse, or working at like Saber Interactive, or like one of these game companies that's like got 50 to like couple hundred employees, like only. They don't have this gigantic office building in LA, or you know what I mean. It's like, if there's a cool culture out there, you probably want to gravitate towards those positions. But like a Ubisoft, EA, Dice, whatever these big conglomerations, Xbox Game Studios, unless you're a fucking utter DEI hire, 50 pronouns and flags in your bio, you'd probably feel a little uncomfortable. Like, as a regular white dude who doesn't buy into any of this woke crap, your job security would be fucking zero, bro. Like, you'd be zero. So yeah, Marathon overly not the most terrible game ever, but there's certainly discourse around it, isn't there? 90% positive rating seems kind of sus. Yeah. 150. I've seen a couple of these. Like, imagine being such a shill for a game. You're giving away copies and trying to get people to play a game with you. And God, it's weird. 100. What is with that? That is so weird. Imagine a person shilling so hard for a game. I saw Asmongold's video about saying Concord 3 is a fail and decided to help Bungie. You're never going, I don't want a copy. This person says, I don't want a copy. Yeah, no kidding. If someone gave me Marathon for free, I'd probably be like, you sure? Like, I don't really care. I'm probably not going to play it. Sure, yeah, send me the fucking gift. It wouldn't even be worth the time of me playing it. Unless there's some massive thing. Like, God knows only this game was shut down in a fucking month or two. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't even really be worth the clicking on the fucking accept gift button. You know what I mean? Cool game, go outside. And there's so much Concordian time. There's so much discourse over these games. There really is, isn't there? And it is kind of the flavor of the month game. And another game will come out and it'll dominate the headlines. Right now it's Marathon. Despite Marathon being at the fucking top of the gaming headlines, I mean, you would expect hundreds of thousands of people playing it. But these numbers, while not particularly awful, for a game of this caliber, it is awful. So yeah, we'll just have to see with Concord 3 or whatever. And that's the thing about Marathon, is that it's not overly awful. It's just anyone else getting bored. It's just, yeah. You have to come up with more of an idea than just a multiplayer-y, shooter-y, stats tracker, FPS bro game. You got to come up with it. Now, I've said that this would be a really cool game if they added like a co-op single-player campaign and had some story cutscenes. And, maybe there was, some type of level editor, or, something more than just, here's a game, here's some, FPS elements, online multiplayer type thing. And it's just something that, and the UI, God, that UI is terrible. So, I mean, overly, it's not like the best game ever. I can appreciate the art style. It doesn't look overly awful, but it is a game that is just a game in another sea of games. There are millions more like it, and it has Splitgate 2 vibes all over it for me, where it's a aesthetically okay looking game. The UI obviously sucks, and there were idiots for making it like that, but it's not something that's going to take the world by storm. People are going to forget about it by next month. That I think is generally the story of Marathon. It just kind of came out and you know what I mean? So yeah, that's Marathon. The gaming industry is fucking ruthless. We all knew this. Peace out.